Hello guys and welcome to this channel. So in this video we're going to be solving the 2021 Elective ICT Practical question number 1, which is a database question. But before we actually get started, I'd appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, hit on the subscribe button and the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without any further delays, let's get started with this tutorial. Alright, so we are back once again, and here is a question that we are going to be solving. So once again, I said this is a database question, and the application we are going to be using is Microsoft Access. So let's read the question and then we answer along the way. So number 1, it says use an appropriate database application to create a database and name it DB stores in the folder created on the desktop. So we're going to be using Microsoft Access, and now let's create a folder in which we are going to be storing the database file in. So let's head back to our desktop, and on our desktop you just click on any blank space. Basically you right click on any blank space on your desktop screen. You should see this pop-up box, and then you scroll down and locate new. From there you should see another pop-up box, or should I say a sub pop-up box, and then click on folder. So this is how you create a folder. For the name of the folder is going to be your initials and index number. So let me just use something random like DD and then some random index number. So let me see. Yeah. So something like this. Next, let's go back to the question. Alright, so now we've created our folder. We are here to create the database file. So in order to do that, we are going to open up our database application, which I've already said is Microsoft Access. So this is it. And this is how it will look like. Then you click on blank database. So this is how you create a database. So for the file name, it's going to be DB stores, because that's what the question said. It said what? Name it DB stores, and then we are going to save it in the folder we just created. So for the name of this blank database is going to be what? DB stores, and then we are going to change the location of where we want to save it. So if we leave it by default, it's going to save it in my document, but according to the question, we need to save it in the folder on the desktop. So we click on this icon. So you click on this icon, and then you locate your desktop like this, and you should see the folder you created. So this is the folder I just created. Double click it and make sure that the file name is DB stores and click on OK. And that is how you create it. Now you can now click on the create button over here, and now we've created a blank database. So let's head back to our desktop and check whether the database file has really been created and stored in the folder we created. So we come back here, we double click to open up our folder, and we can see the database file is here with the name DB stores, just like the question asks us to do. So now let's progress with what we have to do. Now it says in 1A, create the structure of the table below. So there's a structure. So we are seeing commodities, quantity, web bill number, date received, and then the record officer with the data underneath each and every one of the columns. So let's do that. Let's do that next. So in order to create that table structure we have over here, okay, first let me just make things look this way here so that we can now see the question and also what we are trying to do here. Okay, so in order to create this, we need to create a table. So let's see how we create a table in Microsoft Access. So in order to do that, you come over here to the menu bar, and then you locate create. Then you click it. After you've clicked it, you should see tables. And what you want to do is you want to click on table design, and it's going to open something like this for you. This is where we are going to create our table. Now, when we look at the table in a question, we see commodity, quantity, web bill number, date received, and record officers. These are the field names, and then the data is for everything under the field name. So when we come over here, the first field name we see is commodity. So that's what we're going to type here, commodity. And then for the data type, if you look at the data under it, you see that we have fridge, TV, computer, freezer, and cooker. All these are text. So the appropriate data type for commodity is short text. Then we leave it like that. So you select short text. Now the next one is what? Quantity. So you type quantity there. Yep, like that. And then once again, you look at the data type, and everything beneath it is what? A number or an integer. a positive integer. So for this, instead of short text, you're going to select number because that's the appropriate data type for quantity. The next one is what? Waybill number. Okay, so we are getting this message, and what it's telling us is that the name we are using for this field name is not following Microsoft Access object naming rules. The problem is Microsoft's object naming rules does not allow us to use a full stop or a period in our field names. So in order to solve this, we just need to take that out, hit on enter, and you should see that the solution is the problem is now gone. You're not going to see it anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. Now for the data type, we are seeing that we have a combination of text and numbers. So we can leave it as short text. It shouldn't be much of a problem. The next one is what? Date received. So let's type that. And then the data type for date received, as you can see, it is date. So we are not going to leave it as short text. We are going to choose something else, which is what? Date/time. That is the appropriate data type for date received. Now there's also something about the date. If you notice, you see that the date is in a particular format, and when we look through it, you're going to see that the first thing that comes is the day, the second thing is the month, and then the year. And how do we know that? When we look at the last record, we see that 20 is over here. 20 is the first number over here, and we don't have 20 months, so clearly that's the day, and then the month is in the middle, and then the year is at the end. Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because in the application, which is Microsoft Access, the default format is the month comes first, followed by the day, and then the year. But according to the question, the day came first. In order to solve this problem, after you've created the field name, date received, and given it its data type, you come down to the format. And in the format, we are going to specify how we want it to look. So in this case, we want the day first. In order to do that, you type in DD. So DD represents the day. And then you type a forward slash. And then next thing you type is what? MM, which represents the month. Another forward slash. And then YY, which represents the year. So in simple English, what we are saying is that we want the format of the date to be the day first, the month second, and then the year third. We don't want the month showing first, followed by the day and the year. So make sure you change the format, or else it's going to look a little different. So that is it. Now the final field name we have is record officer. So when you look at the question, you see that record officer also has a period sign. If we are to add that, we are going to get the same error message we got. So let's try it and see. Record officer. And you see that we are getting the same issue. So to solve this, we have to remove the period sign, and then everything will be okay. So for the data type, everything is a text. Like in commodities, we're also going to leave it as short text. And that is how we are going to create this table. So after you've done this, you can hit on Ctrl+S to save, or you can just click on this to close the table. When you do that, it's going to prompt you to save the table. It's going to prompt you to save it. Then click on yes. For the table name, let's look at the question. So in 1B, it says what? Save the table as TBL stores. So that is going to be the name for the table. So instead of table 1, we are going to change it to TBL stores and click on OK. Okay, so now it's asking us that there are no it's telling us that there are no primary keys, and it's recommending that we create one. But with this question, we don't handle anything like relationships, so there's no need to create a primary key. You can click on no, and that is it. So we've created our table, open it up, and this is what it will look like. So you can see that all the field names have been created, but there's no data in the table. So that's what we are going to do next. So let's read the question. In 1C, it says what? In 1CI, use TBL stores to create a form to show the following features. CII, use the form created in 1CI to capture the data in 1A. So what it's trying to tell us is, first it's saying that we should use the table we just created, this table. We should use it to create a form. And after we've created a form, we should use that form to capture all the data we see here into the table. That is all we are going to do. And it's very simple. So let's start with creating the form. Once again, you go to your menu bar, you locate create. So you locate it, then you click it. Then you come to the form section. So this is it over here. And you look for form wizard and click it. Then you're going to see a pop-up box like this. And what you're going to do next is you need to move the available field here to the selected field. The whole idea of this is that we are creating a form and it's asking us the fields that we want to be displayed in the form. And since you're going to be inputting data for each and every field, we need to move it to the selected field. So to move everything, you click on the double thing over here, is the greater than sign. You click on it, which is the second option, and it's going to move everything to the selected field. You click on next. You leave everything as default. Click on next. For the title of the form, the question they didn't specify, so you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it store forms, stores form, yeah, something like this. And I'm going to click on finish. And that is how you create a form. And this is the form we are going to be using to input data into this table. So let me close this. And let's start with the entry of the data. So the first commodity we have is what? Fridge. So that's what we're going to type. And for the quantity of fridge, it is 207. Sorry. Now the will be number is this, you can see. So I'm just going to copy and paste it to make things quick. For the date, you're seeing that is the 14th of March 2014. Then hit on enter. Now for the record officer, we have what? F Adamo. So you're going to type that too. And that is it. So now we've typed in everything. We've typed the first record in the table we are seeing. How do we add this to the table we've created here? In order to do that, there are two ways. One is to click on this button over here under the record section. You click on it and it's going to add it to the table. Or you use a shortcut which is Ctrl+. So you're going to click this and it's going to add it to the table. So when we come over here, we are not seeing anything. That's because the table needs to be refreshed. So in order to see the changes made, we come to the record section again. Then we click on refresh all. And now you can see that the first record has been added, fridge. The quantity is 207, will be a number, date received, and then the record officer. So now let's continue with the other data and then we check again. So the next one is what? TV. And then the quantity for TV is 324. The will bill number is this. And then the date received is the same as the previous one. So we're going to type it. And now for the record officer, we type that to Egayo. And then we add this record to next computer. The quantity is what? 731. Will bill number, date received. So this time it is the 1st of May 2014. Like so. And then the record officer, to add that. Next is what? Commodity. So sorry, next is freezer, yes. The quantity is what? 160. You type in the will bill number, the date too, and then the record officer. The final one is what? Cooker. Quantity, will bill number, date received, and then the final, which is the record officer. And that is it. We've been able to add all the records. So now let's go to our table and confirm that everything has been added. And as you can see, all the records have been added. It looks exactly like what is in the question. But that is not where we end. We need to actually look through the data we've typed, because sometimes you may type something wrongly. Like, you never know whether it is a spelling mistake or the numbers. You may have mixed something. So make sure that you check everything for correctness. So let's look through to see if everything is correct. And yeah, so I believe everything is correct, but over here, I see that there's an issue here. So you can see that the date, the format has been confused. Over here, it is showing a format of the 5th of January 2014, but in the question it is supposed to be the 1st of May 2014. So we need to fix that. So sometimes you get issues like this. So you just click it, you should see this small calendar icon. You click it, and then you'll be able to move, to the correct date. So let's move it to the correct date, which is supposed to be the what? 1st of May 2014. And now you can see that the issue has been fixed. So I believe that's the only issue we had over here. Everything looks correct. So that's how you solve question 1C, I, and II. Very simple, right? Now let's move to the next one, which is what? It says what? List all officers receiving quantities less than 450. So this is where queries come in. So in this question, it's telling us to list all the record officers that are receiving a quantity of less than 450. So if you look through, you see that there are 3 officers that match this criteria, which is the first officer, F. Adamu, the second, A. Gayo, and then the fourth, M. Kofi. These are the 3 officers that match this criteria. So how do we actually go about 1D? In order to do that, we are going to have to create a query. So you go to the Create tab in the menu bar, and then you locate the query section. In this case, we are going to click on let me see, query wizard. Yes, so query wizard, and then you leave it by default as simple query wizard. Click on OK. For the available field, let's move everything to the selected field. Click on next. Now for the title of the query, the question didn't specify, but I would recommend that you use something descriptive. So in this question, it says what? We should list officers with quantities less than 450. So we can say something like, we can leave the title to be officers with quantity. Okay, let's make it something short actually. So let's say quantities less than 450. Yeah, let's leave it something like that and click on OK. Yeah. So we've created a query, but we haven't completed it. So you can see that even though we created a query, it's still listing all the officers, but it's supposed to list only 3. In order to fix that, you come back to home, you click on what? The view. So this view is going to take us to the design view. So there are many ways to go to the design view. You can go back to home, click on it over here, or you come down to the bottom, and then you're going to see some options here. So you can see SQL is in the middle, and then you can see the design view is here. So you can also click it there. It's going to take us to the design view. All right, so let's see what we can do now. Okay, so this once again is the query we created from using the TBL stores, and we are seeing a lot here. So we are seeing the fields and then the table. So the table is TBL stores, and these are the fields that we have selected to be seen in the query. Then we have sort, show, criteria, and all. But for this video, our main focus is going to be on the show and criteria. So now starting with the show is responsible for displaying the field with its data. If we uncheck one, it's going to remove it, and we are not going to see it in our query. And the criteria is responsible for, something like conditions. So when you look at the question, it says what? List all officers receiving quantities less than 450. It didn't tell us to list the commodities, nor the waybill number or the date received. So we are going to uncheck the show for the commodities, for the waybill number, and then the date received. Now to see this in effect, you need to go up here, and then you see run. So you click it. When you click it, you see that now we are only seeing our quantities and record officers. But that is not all, because we are still seeing record officers that receive quantities more than 450. So you are seeing one here and also seeing another here. So to do that, we go back to our design view of our query. Then you come to the criteria. So this is where we are going to fix this issue. So in the criteria row, you're going to look for the quantity, and then this is where it will be. So you come to criteria, then go to the quantity section, or should I say column. And over there, you're going to type in less than 450, like this. Then hit on enter. So what does this mean? It means that we want the query to display record officers that receive quantities less than 450. So make sure you type it like this. Hit run again. And now you are seeing the changes in effect. So initially we saw all 5 of the record officers and the quantity they received. But now that we placed in the condition of quantities less than 450, we are only seeing those that receive quantities less than 450. So that is how we solve the 1D. It's pretty simple, right? Then make sure you save it by hitting on Ctrl+S so that the changes are taken in. are noticed. Now let's move on to the final part, which is what? Arrange the data in table 1CII by commodities in descending order and save as stores. Okay, so this one too is pretty simple, but it's a little not straightforward. So remember the table we created in 1CII? This table basically. Yeah. So in order to do that, we need to create another table, and then we are going to change the order in which the commodities are displayed. Because the other table we create, we need to save it as S store. So how do we do that? So make sure that you are in a table, make sure you selected a table, not S store or anything. In fact, you can close everything else. So let's close our query and then our form. Then we have our table left. So you make sure it is selected. Then you go to File, Save As. Then instead of Save Database As, make sure you select Save Object As. So select that one. Then you click on what? Save As. Now, for the name of the table, basically what we are doing now, we are just creating a copy of the existing table we already have, a copy of the TBL store. So you can see it here. But in this case, we are going to name it S store. And we make sure that you save it as a table, not anything else. So make sure it's a table, click on OK. So now you can see that we have two tables. We have S stores and then we have the TBL stores. But currently they look the same. They look the same. So make sure that you selected S store. And when you have selected S store, you select the what? Commodity field with its data. So when you see that it has been highlighted like this, then you know that you selected it properly. After that, make sure that you're at the Home tab, locate Sort and Filter, and then you click on Descending. So this is going to arrange our commodities in descending order. Now, you can see that in the S stores, the first commodity we see now is what? TV. But when you go to the TBL stores, the first commodity we see is fridge. So you can notice that the order in which our commodities are displayed has been changed. One is in the descending order, and then the other is in the order in which we typed in the data. So this is how you solve this whole question. This is how you basically do it in Microsoft Access. I hope you guys were able to follow along and gain some understanding. Please, if that's the case, then support my channel by clicking the subscribe button, giving this video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So that is it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.